So today's video is going to be sort of an advanced Psylocke positioning guide. Psylocke is an incredibly versatile character, and that's the reason why I love playing her so much. She can peel, she can obtain dangerous off angles, she can flank, she can assassinate, she can help her front line. And it all depends on like what needs to happen at that point in time. And that's the reason why I find her kit so enjoyable to me. So on this guide, I'm going to show you a game from I had from my stream last night that went really well, and I only died a single time. I'm going to show you how I rotated around my team and provide value. Even when my team might be struggling, I want to position myself in a way that I will be safe and I can provide value as much as possible. So that being said, we'll jump right into it here. This is the start of the match. You can see here, this area here is what you would consider main, right? This is where your tanks are generally going to stand to try and hold the payload and keep it from moving. All of these areas here are what you would consider uncontested space or going for an off angle, right? So as everyone's going to push down this main, and as the convoy pushes up, your team might be backing up to give up space. DPS and other characters are going to try and find off angles to provide value to, shoot from these sides here, right? So that way they can get more value than if they're just shooting from the front or, down main. Because if everybody's shooting down main, then it's easy to find cover, right? Psylocke can get access to all of these dangerous off angle areas and rotate much faster than any other DPS could, right? So I'm going to show you from my perspective what I'm doing and my thought process behind it. I break that window so that way if anyone were to come up through that area, I'd be able to see. And it also means that with the windows broken, I can use my dashes to get into those areas, much easier. So I want to break them ahead of time. I was going to contest this space from the Iron Fist, but then he switched to Mr. Fantastic. And you can see here how all of my teammates are shooting down main. As this Hawkeye goes to try and find cover, I have a great angle here in which I can see him and just him. And then when I know that he's looking at my team, I'm safe to shoot at him. This is why off angles provide you a lot more value than if you're just shooting near your team. If I'm standing near my team, Hawkeye could be aiming generally at my team's direction and could accidentally hit me. Whereas if I'm aiming from up here, I get much more value shooting at him, which is the reason why he gets close to executed but doesn't quite die. Here, I see Captain America hop on us to contest this space. This is Captain America doing what tanks should do, which is trying to force the DPS out of this area of space. So that way we don't have access to this off angle for his team. Really, once I saw the Star-Lord was up here, I didn't want to be up here anymore. Because two DPS don't need to be in the same off angle. So here I'm applying pressure to Cap so that way he doesn't have health to engage into my team. I go back to the Hawkeye because I don't want him one-shotting my team. But here is when I get to the other side. And now I have a new off angle, right? This one's a bit more dangerous because as my team is backing up, this turns more into a flank than it does an off angle. But you see the value I can provide my team by shooting everyone in the back. Everyone's shooting down this direction. They're not looking at me, which means it's much safer for me to try and shoot the people here. And it's unfortunate that we lost our Emma Frost. And even though she gets rezzed, there is a brief window in which your teammate is getting rezzed that your team is on the defensive because you're still down one. So even though they're getting rezzed, it still doesn't put us in the best spot until we can fully regroup and stabilize. So here I am trying to provide value, but as I notice the convoy is starting to push up, I need to rotate up with my team because the farther away that they get, the less damage my shuriken are going to do. So I get closer to try and provide some value. And I dash up to safety, and now I'm trying to rotate with my team and with the payload. Because as my team is backing up here, and as we've lost another one now, and I see that Emma's sort of like in a bad position, I am trying to get into position of where I want to go next and where I want to set myself up for when my team is stabilized. Seeing that my team is entirely on the defensive, I back up with my team, and now I'm shooting in order to lower my cooldowns back down again as we sort of stabilize. Now, because of the fact that we've lost players and we no longer have a even team fight, I'm trying to stand near my team to back them up to apply pressure so that way we can buy time for our allies to show up. And here I go into peel mode. You see how even though like when the game started, I was in off angle and flank territory. And now that the game has changed and my teammates are struggling to sort of stabilize, I come back to help them with that. Being a DPS is not just like, oh, well, you're the DPS, you're a flanker, go flank the supports all the time. Depending on what's happening in the game, depends on where your positioning is going to be. So when my team is on the defensive, I need to be on the defensive helping them out as well until we can fully stabilize. And now that we're starting to stabilize, now we can start to make a play and see if we can't regain control over the objective. Now, knowing that the Cloak and Dagger ult is on point, nothing is going to die from me. So I go back in to try and find another off angle. As my team is fighting from this direction, no one is looking at me. This is what you want to do as Psylocke all the time, is you want to be constantly rotating where your team goes one direction, you use your mobility to get to that off angle and start shooting from a different direction in which they're not paying attention to you. We end up forcing the other support ult. I try to juke the Mr. Fantastic. It doesn't work. I dash through the health pack in order to stay alive. And here I try to provide value to my team, but I can see that we're sort of just, in situations like this where you recognize that your team is probably not going to win the fight, your next goal is to basically just either stall or get a quick pick or get out. So in this situation, I'm stalling and I see that they're all going to turn on me in just a second. And my team is entirely backed up and my tank has just died. I purposely left all of my dashes so that way I would have an exit strategy. I'd quickly dash and get myself behind cover and cloak to get away. Here, once again, when my team is on the defensive, I am on the defensive with them. So I'm trying to get them, give them help so they can stabilize again. And here, as my team is going through main, I use my ability to dash up to a different location, which is perpendicular to them, and get myself to safety. Now I can apply pressure and try and help them out. I'm continuing to do so, but the moment that Hawkeye sort of looks my direction, I back up. I do not want to stagger myself while I wait for my team to fully stabilize. Here I'm trying to apply pressure to the Strange so he doesn't take as much space. And here I lure someone into an area with me. I dash up in order to try and get out and make a play, and I see the 3 squishies low on point, and I know that they just use their support ult, so I just pop my ult and hope for the best. Ends up working out, and immediately, because of the fact that I saved a dash in order to get out, I wanted to get out, and once I got that pick, I got out, left, and then stabilized myself with my team, so now that we have the numbers advantage, we can come back and fight them fully, and I can rely on the team. You don't want to overstay your welcome after you get a pick. Once you get a pick with Psylocke's kit, generally speaking, you're usually out of your cooldowns. So what you want to do is get that pick, get out, stabilize for a few seconds, and then re-engage afterwards, which is what's happening here. Knowing I had killed the first support, I went back and killed the second one, and then I backed back out again, knowing that all I had was my dash and all my cooldowns were down. So now that I know that they don't have any supports, I rejoined with my team, and then started to just apply pressure as we were just naturally going to win this fight. You can't win with their both supports down. But you'll notice that I'm never actually standing, with my team, unless, of course, I'm trying to get my cooldowns back. I'm trying to put myself in a safe position where I can just get my cooldowns back before I go to off angle. This is not the best angle for me to shoot from. However, it is the safest one right now. And that's always what I'm trying to do. I'm always trying to find the safest position right now and always planning my exit strategy. Now it's just clean up. Quick melee. So here, once again, my team is main. I'm taking an off angle. I am contesting space. If you are playing a DPS, if you are playing Psylocke, and there's a flanker or another DPS that slips through and gets to an off angle and starts attacking your team, that is partially your fault because of the fact that you should be contesting that space to not allow DPS to get through there. This is us contesting the space, saying hey, this is our area. If you want to take this area, you have to fight us for it first. So that means that I trust my team to handle this space down here, and they're trusting me to handle this space up here. Pumping damage, and now I've been sort of a pain in their butts this whole time, so they go to contest this space. This is both of them. Caps and Mr. Fantastic contest me for that space is a really good idea. Star-Lord takes this as an opportunity to ult their backline. Knowing that the ults are down below, I'm not going to kill anything in those ults, so I immediately go for the Strange instead. Once again, as my team is fighting down here, even though the rocket ult is down there, I want to be on an off angle from them. I don't want to be directly next to them. Killing the Cap, who is in the Cloak and Dagger ult, which means that he was weak. I see the low squishies inside. Dangerous location. You see me in that dangerous location as I see that everyone is facing down the same way and Hawkeye's shooting the same direction. I rotate once again back up here. The entire time that like my team is shooting from this direction, I try and find another way to shoot from a different direction. Using the cover, and once again, my team comes up here and pushes main. I rotate back around. I take the side angle. I forget about Cap respawning, and I see that after dueling him and rotating around him and then dashing back towards my team, I put myself in a position where I see that the Doctor Strange is isolated, and I go for a quick ult to see if I can't create some space or get a pick. Once again, my team pushes main. I rotate back around the side, and I catch Strange off on the flank. As my team pushes enemies out one way, they are going to essentially herd those enemies into a direction, and then they're going to try and find cover. I want to rotate in a way in which I predict where their cover is going to be and apply that pressure to get those picks. I had an idea here, so I was trying something cheeky. And sometimes you just got to try stuff to see if it works. It would have been better if I had my ult, but they caught on a little early. I double dashed forward, I cloaked, and then I went to the right to try and bait them out so that way they didn't think I was going through the doorway. By the eye. I rejoined with my team, and luckily, I think this Magneto Shield probably blocked this ult. This was extremely dangerous on my part, I will admit. I just wanted to see if they would notice if I stood there completely still, and it was a really bad idea. But this is why, as this ult went off and it's right near my team, this is why I say that you don't want to stand directly next to your team. This is why every time I'm standing next to my team, I use her mobility to dash up, usually to a high ground position somewhere else, and off angle. Because once a team wants to ult, they usually want to ult all in one spot. If we're all near each other and still within LOS, we can still help each other. But if we're all standing right next to each other, we're in danger of all of the damage hitting us at once. So Magneto really saved me here. I go and I try to attack the Hawkeye because I don't want him one-shotting my team. And I saw him out of position. Right now, there's a Captain America ult and an Invisible Woman ult and a Hawkeye ult, which means that I am not killing anything in there. So I try to find some other position I can be in. I wait and I cloak in, hoping to get to the very end of the Invisible Woman ult. I do it a little too soon. So I try to provide value, and the moment that they look at me, I dash back out again, especially knowing that we are down teammates. So I dash back up to the high ground and away from main. I try to find those isolated targets and provide value. I lure him down, and then as I lure him down and bring him down below, I then use my mobility to get back up into the high ground position again and get out. Once again, now I'm sort of regrouped with my team where I'm applying that pressure and trying to help my team out. I get sort of isolated. I get kind of bailed out here by the team up ability. And now I find my way to cover, and I'm still trying to find an off-angle position. As my team is coming back, I want to be in these off-angle positions, providing value, trying to stabilize with my team until I can go back into, more aggressive flank territory. I lure Mr. Fantastic into this room and isolate him with me, and I leave and go back to the other side so I can off-angle and provide value again. You can see how I'm always trying to find a way to off-angle, provide value, and shoot at a target where I can only see them. If I'm standing in the open shooting at Mr. Fantastic, their Hawkeye can hit me. But if I'm in this room and I'm shooting at Mr. Fantastic, only he can hit me. Here, I lure Strange over as I walk around to the right or the left side of him to my right, and I dash back into the room with the health pack so I have a place to stand for safety. Seeing Mr. Fantastic engage on me, I knew that I had my ult. I see that we're losing a lot of space, so I throw my ult there to try and make a play. Doctor Strange is trying to help his Invisible Woman. I know that I don't have a dash, which is extremely ballsy, but I pulled out the cloak alt and I still have my invisibility, so I pop that real quick. I see her standing outside the ult. I get the quick execute and I dash to safety here. Knowing I don't have any cooldowns, I want to play really, really safe. I got my pick, and now that I have my pick and I have my lead for my team, I don't want to throw this lead. So I play safer. I stabilize myself back up. And I start pumping damage into their back line, trying to cause a distraction. Once again, you see that I'm using this cover here to block Hawkeye so that way he doesn't see me, but I can still shorten my cooldowns on Doctor Strange. I know pumping damage into him isn't going to do anything while he's staying in that ult, but it will lower my cooldowns back down. Once they start to focus me, once they start to turn my direction, I start to play a bit more safe. And now that I see they're turning for me, I leave. I let Star-Lord grabs a health pack, so I go back to rejoin with my team. And now I'm back in stabilized mode and get my cooldowns back. You see how all the time I am using my abilities to off angle and flank and get into position. And when it's not safe anymore, I might try to regroup with my team and shorten my cooldowns down again.
Down to 30 seconds. What a difference.
So here, knowing that the game is about to end, I start to follow up on like what my Emma Frost is doing. This is why, as Emma Frost is pushing from one angle, I try to find a separate angle, because now this cover that they're using that they think that they're safe from, I can get to a position better and faster than they can to provide value. I unfortunately missed the dash, and because he's ulting, I just immediately get out. Seeing that the Invisible Woman ult went off, I go back to find a different angle. I go to the point, I see Doctor Strange there, and trying to execute him because he's far away from the supports, it ends up working. As Mr. Fantastic is ulting and the Cloak and Dagger ult is on the ground, I am just going into survival mode. I'm trying to set myself up for the next attack. I'm trying to set myself up for what I want to do next. I know that my ult is about almost charged, and I know that the game is in overtime, so I really, really want to get this ult charged up, but I want to do so safely. I don't want to die in this moment, so I find a position in which I can charge my ult. Once again, these rooms like this are great because now I can charge my ult and shorten my cooldowns and do it from safety. So even though the ult is keeping them alive and I'm not really doing anything, I am charging my ult. The moment I get my ult is the same moment that Captain America activates his, and Star-Lord activates his as well. Mr. Fantastic, Captain America are very difficult to kill. And with the combination of Captain America's ult, I remember in this moment debating as to whether or not I hit my ult now or I wait until the Captain America ult runs out. I still don't know whether or not which one was the better idea, which one was the better decision, but I did end up waiting until it ran out. And then once I saw that it had fully run out, I ulted directly on top of the payload in order to try and end the game. And one of the things that I do is I don't exactly know how Psylocke's ult works sometimes. Sometimes it grabs people I don't think it should grab, and sometimes it doesn't grab people at all. So to make it easier, I stand directly on top of the convoy, the payload, and then I press Q, and then I just sit there. Because if I'm on the one side or the other, sometimes it has a hard time targeting. So if I'm staying directly in the center, it seems to have an easier time targeting people.
The current score is 0-2.
Quick costume change. But you see how the entire time I am trying to rotate around my team, right? I'm not trying to stand directly next to them. I'm trying to use my mobility to get to those separate off angles and provide value while denying the enemy team cover and also not staying away from the dangerous areas, which are, I believe, next to my team.
3, 2, 1.
So here, as my team pushes down main, I was hearing footsteps, so I was looking around, getting ready to peel. And that's when I saw the Iron Fist. Now, this area here is another off angle, but I see that they're already backing up. So here, I see that there's someone up here. and I go to contest this space here. This is what DPS should do. As your tanks, especially, are pushing main, DPS, you need to contest these off angles. You need to make sure that you deny them.
What a difference.
So seeing Star-Lord use his E already, I try to jump in and harass him. Right now, it's just peeling them off of the payload, so that way, hopefully, we can get it moving again. Once again, over there is more uncontested space. This is Iron Fist. I saw him go up there, so now I'm just waiting for him. I know he's about to engage in my team. Do not stop paying attention to the flankers, and just because you want to shoot something, you need to make sure that they don't just jump in on your backline and get free value.
Follow me. You're halfway there. Keep
I'm trying to bait the block out. It works. And we're trying to push him out now.
A shame this was a
Contesting the space here, I am able to use my team up, get a lot of damage off on Cap with the help of my Emma Frost. Here, I go back into peel mode. Unfortunately, we lose our Cloak and Dagger, or our Invis? Losing everybody. Once I realize the fight is over, I just get out. I charge my ult up. But you notice how, because of the fact that I have really great mobility, a lot of the times I'm using that mobility to access the areas that my team cannot access easily, right? As my team is pushing the convoy, I'm trusting them to push the convoy. My job needs to be creating space by contesting those off angles and providing value by forcing the enemy team to back up that way. Me standing on the convoy isn't going to help push the convoy. Me contesting that space and those off angles and applying pressure from different locations, that is going to allow the convoy to move forward. So I very rarely find myself ever standing on the convoy itself. So once again, right back up to these off angles. Now I'm contesting the space. You see how Star-Lord jumps out? This is me saying like, hey, this area up here is going to be mine.
sayonara.
I cloak in because I saw that he was low and I had my team up. I go for a quick ult. And it's a high value ult. Captain America is going to stall, which is right. Would have been better if he didn't die, but I missed every shot, so I can't say too much. But you see how I wasn't on the convoy, right? I didn't start on the convoy. I went up, contested the high ground space, denied that space, forced him to use cooldowns and abilities to get out, and then it created an opportunity in which I could ult their backline and create a lot more space for the convoy to move forward. Now that I know that we have 3 people on the convoy, I go back up to hold this space. I see they're all coming from this direction. I go and I try to find another off angle. See me here on this space, even if I don't engage in on them, I know that the Iron Fist is engaging now because of the fact that I was watching this side. Seeing that nothing is going to happen in this area, I go and I try to find value elsewhere. So I flank around the backside. My team fights main, I try to find an off angle. See how no one is looking at me? This is what you want to have happen. This is what the kind of rotations you want to have. Is you want to be able to use that mobility, use that invisibility, put yourself into a position where as they're distracted by your team, you get executions, you get free kills. Now it's just clean up from here for the most part.
There is no one better to protect you than I, little one.
More stalling. Quick execute.
The vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
As your team is going to rotate around the objective, you are going to find angles elsewhere. Because you see that as my team here is pushing up and pushing this angle here, I am already ready to be in an off angle position to start attacking the enemy team. I am rotating around my team constantly in this fashion. If the payload is here, I want to be here, or I want to be over here, or I want to be over here. All of these areas provide different value, right? You could even be here or down underneath here. There's a lot of different places you can go in Marvel Rivals. But the worst place you want to stand, generally speaking, is right behind your tanks. You want to be in all of these other positions in which you can provide value. by off-angling the enemy team and being a distraction and creating pressure. So now, as they start to rotate back, I'm rotating with my team. And once I see that there's somebody up here, I want to go and contest that space. Go right into peel mode. My team shoots the block, unfortunately. As I hear ults going off, I'm trying to see where I can provide value. I see the cap get grabbed. Now that the support ult is going off, I want to try and find out where I can get value, right? So I immediately go into a flank position. My team starts to fall over, and it's okay. I go back into this position because I'm asking my team, did we kill anyone? Because I want to spawn camp them. But knowing that the only person that we killed got the res, ultimately, I just have to wait for my team to come back now. This is a full flank position. They heard me cloak. They started shooting. Because they heard me shooting, I pop my clone and immediately dash and hit my ult. Partially to create space, also partially to survive. But because of the fact that I was able to do it in a position where once I flank on their backline and I start ulting and walking through them, now they have a decision to make. Do they walk more into my team or do they walk backwards into my ultimate? Unfortunately, Magneto got his ult shut down. Seeing that we had the advantage and we had literally all the ultimates being popped, it was easy to push through and win that fight. But now, once again, as my team, as my team is going to push up, I will try to find a different position eventually. Here I'm shooting down main to provide value and try and hold them back. But now I'm starting to look at these off angles here. See how, once again, I'm looking this direction. They're all looking down main. They're not looking at me. I can provide value this way. And because of that, I can see Iron Fist walking through. As the ultimates are popping up, we need to give up space temporarily. But here I go to try and find those off angles again. I try to get a quick assassination on the Iron Man. It's not working, but I see that my team is dying, so I just back right up. The enemy team had ult economy, so it made it very difficult to try and hold that objective. As he goes to attack me right now, I know my team is really far away from spawn. I'm not going to ego duel him and take the 1v1 and possibly lose. I'm just going to get back out and play safe and wait until I can take a better fight. So here, once again, my team is going main. I'm finding an off angle. They see me, but it's okay. I can cloak in. I try to provide some value by applying damage.
Only 60 seconds left.
I saw the health bar up top, so I thought maybe this part was broken up here, and I thought I could shoot him in the head. And then when I dashed up and I realized that that wasn't the case, I just started to attack the Captain America instead. Here I'm applying pressure from that off angle. I don't see the Iron Fist, and he immediately blows me up for my one death. Very lucky that I get a res immediately afterwards, though. And now I turn the tide back on him and immediately kill him. Once I get my ult, I immediately pop it to create value. We kill Mag again through his ult. Poor guy. And here, I am starting to get really harassed by the Captain America. Generally speaking, if you are performing really well, the enemy team will start to specifically focus you. So right now, I need to make sure I play in a way where I take that into consideration and I try to survive those interactions. I try to play safe. Now that he is really isolated away from his team, he is away from the convoy, he wants to get back in it with his ult. So he's trying to provide value to his team elsewhere. This is me just shorting my cooldowns and getting ready to try and engage. I see that we have a Cloak and Dagger ult on the ground, so I try to take advantage of that while I shoot the rocket ult. I'm trying to figure out where I can provide value. And generally speaking, when there are support ults going off, Psylocke just doesn't do enough damage to go kill through the support ults. So you either need to wait out the support ults, destroy them if it's something like a rocket ult, or you need to provide value elsewhere by like destroying things like shields or totems or res stations, other things that you can destroy more easily.
Keep fighting until we have a
So here,
winner.
once again, I go back in the room. I start to create off angles. I look, and with my cooldowns coming back, I see that Rocket is at the back. I invis in to get a quick execute on him. And once he dies, I know that they only have one more support, so I really want to get to her, but Iron Fist sees that and tries to contest me.
Just leave it to me.
And here, it's just sort of clean up.
You're mine.
As my team is fighting tanks on the point, I am coming over here to stop the Iron Man from shooting. Even if I miss every shot, just the threat of him is going to stop. Threat of me is going to stop him from shooting.
An iron suit cannot withstand a psychic blade.
Final score 2-2.
And that was it. That is how you rotate around as Psylocke. You are using sort of your team as a center point, right? And you rotate around your team based off of your cooldowns, based off of like who's alive and who's dead, what sort of pressure you have. If your team starts to lose people, you have to back up with your team to sort of help and assist them. But you are always trying to find those angles in which you are not standing directly next to them, but you're standing at somewhat of a 45 or 90-degree off angle so you can apply pressure more efficiently. And because you have your dashes, because you have your invis, you're able to get to those areas a lot easier than other people can and a lot more safely. So you really want to abuse that fact. You want to access that high ground a lot. You want to get to areas where people aren't suspecting you to be, and you want to deny cover from the enemy in which they're hiding from your team on main, and then you take a separate angle to apply that pressure so that way you can force them back and you can secure those kills more easily. Yeah, so this is, generally speaking, you can still sort of understand this from, a sort of anywhere or for any DPS perspective, like off angling, creating that sort of pressure. But Psylocke is got such a great universal or versatile kit that, she really does do decently at peeling. She does decently at fighting tanks. She does decently at contesting space, and she's great at assassination. If you learn to manage your dashes, manage your cooldowns, and the push and pull of the fight, she's a super fun hero to play that is really great to climb with. Anyway, this was more of an advanced Psylocke off-angling positioning guide. I hope you guys found it useful, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But otherwise, thank you for watching.